We're watching every Adam Sandler film to see if they still hold up. This week, we watched Bulletproof.
Bulletproof is a film that we're sure no one knows about. In it, he plays a petty criminal who becomes a key player in a massive drug operation. But when his best friend in the whole wide world, Damon Wayans, is revealed to be an undercover cop, both of their worlds spin out of control. This R-rated action bonanza has it all. Action scenes, crude humor, Adam Sandler's bomb. But is this a forgotten buddy cop action flick of the 90s? Or a stale knockoff that should be buried in the past?
While watching these movies, we play a game of Adam Sandler themed bingo filled with all the Sandler tropes. Up on screen are our bingo cards. Joe, how did you go this week?
I did good. I got bingo, only just. This surprisingly was a film that didn't have as many Sandler tropes as I thought it might.
But also surprisingly still had an Adam Sandler ensemble cast and some really weird, crude Sandler humor that I didn't expect because it wasn't a Happy Madison.
First off, I had funny animal moment.
No good. Bang!
Gotcha. I had Sandler sings. And what scored me bingo was I had toilet humor where Damon Wayans shat in the toilet and Adam Sandler was tied over it.
I had fight scene. I had funny animal moment, and I had outdated word. I got bingo, just the free space saved my life. But hey, I think it's time to review this movie.
Let's do it. This film starts with Adam Sandler and Damon Wayans hijacking a car, which is immediately like, I have not seen Sandler play a petty crook like this.
It was a bit of a shame that they did nothing to make Sandler look a bit more like a petty thief. They pretty much just dumped Adam Sandler on set and said, that's what you're playing. And he just looked the same. His hair was the same, everything was the same.
And we're learning very quickly that this is an R-rated movie, at least in America. It's R-rated because he's dropping F-bombs, they're screaming at each other.
He's driving me nuts with that fucking crazy eyes and that armpit stink.
They establish a really fun dynamic where Adam Sandler's the loudmouth and then Wayans comes in and he's the real brute that does all the fighting for him. It's pretty much just Bad Boys, but a year later it's released.
Adam Sandler had a bunch of movies, Damon Wayans had a bunch of movies. They were like, let's team up and make the best movie ever.
For an hour 30 runtime, this movie had about 30 plot twists within 20 minutes. It was the fastest moving movie I've ever seen. There was so much happening. We find out that Damon Wayans is actually an undercover cop. And then we find out that Adam Sandler wants to be part of a bigger drug ring and he's actually a kingpin player. Then they go to take him down. It's a heart attack in a movie because things are moving so fast that you can't really grab onto a character storyline because it keeps changing and evolving so rapidly.
Yeah, they want to get the film plot to a point where it's both of them struggling to be in each other's companies because one's betrayed the other. But it twists itself so much to get there in the start that it's really jarring.
There is this cut in this movie that kind of sums up all of that, just how jarring this movie can be.
You're right.
Him sitting with his girlfriend that he acquired about 5 minutes ago, who was his physical therapist after Adam Sandler shot him in the head.
Time elapses over months in the first 20 minutes as well. There is so much that happens.
And if that's confusing to hear, then welcome.
I am afraid of Moses. Afraid if I see him again, I kill him. Jack, come on. What do you want?
So 30 minutes into the movie, we finally get to the dynamic where Wayans and Sandler are begrudgingly chained together.
And I think that's where they wanted this movie to really shine, where the chemistry really isn't that amazing. It's like they're both trying to be the star of the movie, but not quite getting there.
It was interesting doing a bit of a deep dive into Wayans' career and why it didn't really pop off. Almost every single movie that he was in lost money. So he just could have been a success, but wasn't. And he was in a time where there were some really successful comedians coming up doing similar things, like Will Smith doing Bad Boys. Bad Boys was a 95 release. This movie was a 96. Bad Boys did 60-something million in the box office. This movie did 20.
It felt reminiscent of like True Lies, like Arnold Schwarzenegger stuff. Just like trying to really fit in that genre, but not quite being there and clearly not remembered.
No, not at all. Because I think Wayans just wasn't the right guy for it.
Yeah, and you have Adam Sandler there going, Disneyland.
Oh my God.
Disneyland.
So the pacing of the movie finally slows down after the most intense plane hijacking murder scene that you will see. We crash land in a small country town, and for some reason the writers of the film decided we're gonna stay in this really weird lodge and spend a lot of the movie, which doesn't progress the plot at all. But we do get this bit.
I was reveling in the fact that we were watching a 90-minute movie for once, but
Yeah.
this one still felt like 2 hours.
Yeah, dare I say 3. Good 90-minute films are really good at making the world really small, and so it's easy to
Yeah.
follow. This movie was not easy to follow. As I was watching, I had to write out the plot notes so I didn't forget anything, and I still forgot things because things happened so goddamn fast.
I did enjoy the little moments of comedy they lit it into it though. The character of Chuck, who owned the lodge, it came to a point where they had to escape because the drugs had found them. And there were just so many little bits like this.
That elm came down in a storm we had a week ago Thursday. Guess those fellas aren't from around here.
They spent so much time trying to tee up Adam Sandler having a 3-way with Chuck's wife, but barely any time at all in the plane crash scene.
Yeah.
The decision making of the edit was so weird.
It gets to the point where they both make it back to the police precinct safely. Adam Sandler's got to be locked up for his petty crimes. Damon Wayans is going to be safe again and see his wife. But it's never answered, like, who is the rat? Who has been tipping off the people that have been chasing them?
And then kind of just shoehorned into the plot, Adam Sandler's the guy that actually has read some books, and so he knows the names.
Jensen. Jensen? This guy's name is Jensen?
And he realizes that the police chief is the rat. But that kind of was really pushed into the plot randomly, and you had to really be switched on this whole movie to pick up on all the small details they kept on throwing at you to make this 90-minute film happen.
Somehow Sandler was this enormous drug boss's right-hand man who had the list and memory of all the names of all the informants.
Yeah.
Like, what?
So now we're back on the run again after being on the run the entire movie to not being on the run for 2 minutes. We're now back on the run.
The big drug boss kidnaps Damon Wayans' girlfriend and he's got to trade Sandler for his girl. So it ends with this big shootout at the drug boss's house.
What's amazing is this is the crescendo of the movie, but I would say the worst action scenes of the entire movie. Adam Sandler doing a terrible job.
I think they're eating fajitas.
There's this one moment where the drug boss pulls off his toupee to fight, and then that scene just gets rushed as well. He immediately gets shot and he wins. And then there's another plot twist where now the girlfriend is also the bad guy.
Yeah, it turns out Damon's girlfriend was tipping off the bad guys the entire time.
But it was so unneeded. Like, that was an unnecessary plot twist. It didn't need to happen.
I swear to God I did.
Ah, she's lying out her devil ass.
Will you shut the fuck up?
It's just like,
I didn't mind a bunch of the action. It had real John Woo energies. Like, it didn't really make sense, but it was like chaotic and people are rolling over and it was some sort of fun.
yeah, I think the difference between this and a movie like Bad Boys is Bad Boys nailed the action sequences. Their comedy was not competing against the action of the film. They complemented each other nicely.
Yeah.
Whereas this movie was really torn between, is this a slapstick stupid comedy, shoving guns up asses? Or is it an intense, we're mowing down police officers in a high-speed aeroplane chase?
Yeah.
It just couldn't decide what it wanted to be in my
It
eyes.
was a really wacky, there are no rules kind of world. And it ends with all of them running to Mexico.
Yeah.
And just living out their relaxing fantasy dreams.
Adam Sandler's character having learnt nothing, but they're right back to where they started, so
Yeah.
it comes full circle. at
It's a
least.
cyclical tale, as they say.
Let's rate this, Joe, and I am very happy to go first this week because I can tell you very comfortably I didn't have a great time watching this.
Doesn't sound like it.
I was so excited for a 90-minute flick. I thought
Yeah.
this is going to be a quick watch, but it felt like an eternity. I think it had so much promise. I liked the Bad Boys franchise, so I thought having something that was shot really similarly, the vibes are similar, it's really let me down. I wouldn't watch it again. I wouldn't recommend it.
Wow.
I would take it to 3.
3, wow.
Yeah,
Damn,
that's
man. See, I think I've taken your advice and I managed to switch my brain into a kind of enjoyable mood with this film. Like, the world doesn't make sense. It's wacky, it's weird, but it hit a kind of note to me that I'm like, this is just dumb fun. This
Yeah.
is just like a bit of a fun time.
Yeah.
I gave it a 6. I just gave it a base 6.
A 6.
A 6 not great, bro.
No, a 6 is above average.
I think it has a place in the world where it has this really offbeat kind of humor, and it's like enjoyed in a different way than your typical Sandler movie.
I can see that if it was better than what it was, sure. If it had a different script and a different editor, I think it would have been a better film. I think there was potential in it. Fair enough.
I watched
Opinions
it
are
on
opinions.
a relaxing Sunday morning. I had my coffee. I was like, this is so silly.
It is so silly. Did not do it for me. Wouldn't watch it again. But that's okay. We don't have to. But we have to watch another Sandler film. Shall we pull the next film?
Put your hand in the hat. Put it in the hat.
Our next film we are watching, my good friend Joe Harris, is Billy Madison.
Billy Madison?
Oh boy. This was in the same year that Bulletproof came out. Holy dooly, one of Adam Sandler's arguably best films, and I'm gonna say one of his worst films in the same year. That's insane.
That's crazy. All right,
Cool.
well, thanks for watching. Go subscribe to us on Patreon if you want to see behind the scenes stuff of this shoot and a bunch of extra bits.
But most importantly, my friends, make sure to tell someone you love them today.
Bye.
Bye now.